Assalamu alaikum. My name is Akram Hashmi, and I'm the Managing Director for IMANA. And it's our privilege and honor to bring Dr. AbdulHakim Mohamed today. We'll be talking about spirituality leading into Ramadan for us, especially with the time that we're in right now with everything that's going on. We thought IMANA could do something for our members and, just give some advice and see how our healthcare workers are, putting their lives in danger every single day. We thought maybe we can give them a little encouragement and some peace by, offering some spiritual advice and things like that. Let me tell you a little bit about Dr. AbdulHakim. He's been with IMANA for about 6.5 years in different capacities. Very, very funny guy. Very nice, humble, very nice man. He is from Detroit, Michigan, or he's from Dallas, Texas, whichever one he feels like that day, that's where he's from. Dr. Mohamed holds a Ph.D. in Islamic Philosophy from Notre Dame. He earned his MA in Islamic Philosophy from Notre Dame as well. He earned his Bachelors in Islamic Studies from Medina University in Yemen, and has a Bachelor's from Medina University as well too. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Dr. AbdulHakim Mohamed today.
It's good to see you again.
Likewise.
It's a pleasure and honor to be with everyone, especially these days where the world, in a sense, is connected in a way that has never been connected before. The concerns of the world is almost unified. Fortunately, we are concerned and unified over this virus that is coming to everyone's home. And in fact, it's forcing everyone to stay home. So it would have been an awesome thing if the world had concerns unified over other things, but this brings us a little bit into understanding that our world is a small village. And what happens across the globe certainly can happen in our homes in just a short period of time. So this coronavirus, if there is a silver lining into it, that the world understood that their fate is connected, their families' needs are one. So hopefully, inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will lift this challenge and allow us to continue to be unified as we are today. And on another point, it also produced a different challenge for many of us. There's a lot of people out there that are losing their jobs, losing their income. But it allows us to remember that our income and our faith and our needs are really attached to a superpower, something that is beyond the work that we have. And as we can see, even though many of us have not worked for a while right now, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala found a way for you to find something to continue to provide for your family, even if you're at home. We never lose faith that our risk will always reach us, no matter how far we are away from it. It'll always find a way to get to us. So I'd like to remind myself and everyone that the stress some of us are going through because the challenge that we're not back at work should only be focused on what are the right things that we can do. How can we utilize this extra free time? How can we look at us staying at home as not being in quarantine, but a solitude in our homes, being focused in our homes to do something more precious. But the risk itself, it will find you. وَرِزْقُكُمْ فِي السَّمَاءِ وَمَا تُوعَدُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, your risk descends from the heavens. It's not really from earth, it descends from the heavens. And he said, rizqukum. He used the pronouns, the kaf and meme, every individual, not as a group, not as a country or a state, but every individual out there. Allah Ta'ala says, your rizq, your bounties, whatever you are intended to have in life, descend from the heavens. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not stopped descending his rizq and bounties and blessings to us. It will find us, it will enrich us, and maybe it would allow us this time that we're in solitude to understand what's important in our lives, what makes our lives better. Because the world in the last few decades have been consumed with so much noise around it, technology that is outpacing everything, to where people would used to work an 8-hour job is working now a 16-hour job. Even while they're driving home, they're still working. Very little time we have found in our busy lives where we can sit back and think, reflect. This thinking and reflecting is essential in human lives' growth. Let us look into the history in the Seerah, in the Quran al-Kareem. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in the Quran al-Kareem, Inna laka al-hayati, says, Allahumma salli wa sallam ala Rasulullah, he ordered him to pray at night. Why? يقوم الليل إلا قليلا نصفه أو زد عليه ورتل القرآن. Get up at night and pray a third of it or more. Why? He said, because in the world, during the day, you're consumed with the busyness of life. That unfortunately, your growth, your personal growth, your spiritual growth weakens every day. So the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, even before receiving the wahi, he spent nights and nights in the cave. He would climb that huge mountain that we all know, and he would sit in that cave and meditate and look at the universe. And that is the way Allah Ta'ala chose for him to grow. By the time he was ready for Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq, he has spent numerous nights, years in that cave meditating and growing. And one would assume that once the Quran al-Kareem was revealed to him, then his job was to engage humanity and to create a social gatherings and connections to where he doesn't have time for himself. Well, on the contrary, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam to seek those special moments of being alone, solitude, to where he can help himself continue growth. So every night he would wake up when people are asleep. And in fact, the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to the Sahaba, yes, وَبِالْأَسْحَارِ هُمْ يَسْتَغْفِرُونَ وَبِالْأَسْحَارِ هُمْ يَسْتَغْفِرُونَ. In the wee hours of night, they're up seeking refuge. They're seeking forgiveness. Usually at night, you're not really doing anything. But because they are reflecting, they are thinking and remembering what they have done, they're able to do that. Now they're able to understand why they're seeking forgiveness, why they're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for refuge. And the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam continued to do that. Dawood alayhi salam, he chose a time and place to where he exiled himself away from everyone, where he sat alone and only meditated and grew religiously and spiritually. We have not been able to find that time. I'm not saying that the coronavirus is our way out, that Allah Ta'ala brought this to remind us to seek refuge to our own selves, but it is an opportunity for us. I have been sitting home just like everybody else, and I have found more things about myself sitting at home than I was engaging in my travels or in my work on a daily basis, where I actually forgot that I need to take care of myself. I need to take care of my family, because I was busy thinking of how can I take care of the communities? What kind of speech am I going to be talking the next day in front of people? What cities and who people I'm going to meet when I get there? All of a sudden now I'm sitting home and I'm looking at my kids in a way I haven't seen in a long time. Relations that I have forgotten that's internally in my own home, in my own family. All of a sudden now I'm reestablishing them. And then I found things about myself that maybe I'm not so proud of. I'm working on making sure that I can be proud of them. I have been able to take advantage of this time that I'm alone at home to enhance myself, by reading the Quran al-Kareem. I've always reviewed the Quran every day, about one juz every single day when I go out and drive or wherever I'm going. Now I'm able to do at least 5 juz every day. All of a sudden now I'm seeing things in the Quran al-Kareem I wasn't seeing. I'm exploring in the verses that I read meanings that I have not had before. Many of us are sitting and wasting their time in things that after this break that we have, they're going to look at that as a waste of time. Let us utilize this isolation like the Rasul utilized it for himself. Like a lot of righteous folks did in history. From Ibrahim alayhi salam to Nuh alayhi salam, they were put in situations where they were isolated sometimes from everyone. Imagine Nuh alayhi salam, for centuries people would not talk to him. How strong he became over time. This coronavirus that we have, yes, it had stripped away a lot of our freedoms, but it has offered us a lot of opportunities. We still can enhance our intellect. We still can pray at night now, not worrying that I have to wake up too early in the morning to go to work. I still can sit with a family dinner that I haven't sat and had a family dinner in years sometimes. Now I can actually not just have a family dinner, but actually have a 3-meal a day. I still can play those old games that we have all forgotten about when we used to play Monopoly with our parents. Now I get to play Monopoly with my kids. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not send these diseases as a punishment. They're signals. They're alerts. Sometimes the alert is not what happened in China and spread. Sometimes it's an alert of what has been happening in our homes that we haven't paid attention to. Now we can. Now we're able. On another footnote, many of us have enjoyed our homes in the past because they're just the places where we go back and rest. Now we can actually stay in our homes. But remember, that is a home you have. A lot of people don't have homes. There are a lot of people today that are finding themselves homeless. They're not able to pay their rent. The government aid has not reached them to pay their rent yet. Many of them, even with that, it'll never be enough. Homes are overly crowded sometimes now because everybody's at home at the same time. They're finding themselves unable to sustain enough food for the family for every gathering. So recognize the blessings that you've had that you've taken for granted over the years. Many of us have taken that for granted. I never thought about how important it is to go to Walmart. How amazing it is to go shopping. I've always felt like the last thing I want to do is go shopping. And now it's like, we got to buy something, I'll go. You would run to go shopping. And it's such a blessing that I still can go shopping. I still can find what I need. There are people out there, they can't find what they need. Reflect on that, on the blessings that you have, because for a long time, we forgot what we have. I mean, I was reading something, subhanAllah, just a few days ago, that sometimes one of the ways that the shaitan gets into our hearts is he forces us to forget. He seduces us to forget the blessings that we already have. And then we think that we need to go after something else, even though that something else is really the same thing that we already have, but the shaitan played us, just like he did with Adam alayhi salam. Adam was in Jannah living forever and he had everything that he needs and more. But the shaitan told him to eat from the tree, thinking that he will receive immortality that he already had, but he forgot. And that he will be possessing more power, which he already had, but he forgot. We forget. We're just like our father Adam. فَنَسِيَ Adam, فَنَسِيَ ذُرِّيَّتُهُ. Rasul said Adam forgot, and likewise his descendants will forget. Don't forget. Let this opportunity remind you that we have everything. We have more than everything. And there's a lot of people out there that just don't. I was just reading about our situation in Yemen just this morning. that cities are like roaming with so many people. They can't afford to have social distancing in their lives because they live day by day. So the day that they don't go out, it's the day that they die, the day they go hungry. We can afford to spend 2 to 3 weeks at home, isolated, and we'll still be fine. Our pantries will still be full. Our refrigerators and freezers will still be jam-packed. Our snacks will be overloading us to where we gain so much pounds. In fact, a lot of people are finding ways to stay fit. There are people out there that they can't even afford to stay out of going out to find something to eat, not one day. So we're not in a punishment phase of quarantine, but let's take this as a reflection of awakening that we see the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Subhanallah, something that cannot be seen by a naked eye, something that people have never seen in their lifetime, is putting the world on notice. Governments, powerful empires are put on notice, and they're scrambling left and right. They're not able, and they don't understand how they can fight it. The only solution they have found within themselves is that we change who we are and the way we act with each other. That we lift many of the things that have caused us to forget who we are away from us so we can get cured, so we can put a stop. You know, imagine looking at some of the cities today where it's known for its crowd. Times Square, it's empty, totally empty, by a power that none of us can see. It brings us back to the reality of how we are as human beings. Brothers and sisters, you and I, and everybody else on the world, is on notice because of this. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had wished this to be more harmful, He could have. A lot of people see this as a form of cold or flu. It's not, or is. People are still debating. The bottom line is that it has taken the world by shock and storm. With all the technology that we have, with all the powers that we have, with all the unity that we have, with all the leaders and scholars that we have, the only solution is that they're telling us, stay home. Stay home. So we will. But instead of staying home and wasting who we are in our life, because these days we can't get back, let's utilize these days of isolation to grow. I recommend the following, if we can. First of all, enhance your ibadah. We've always approached our prayers in rush. Even our Friday salah, that many of us only go to the last 5 minutes hoping the Imam ends on time. Now we're missing it. We won't even care if the Imam stays an hour giving it. We just need our Jum'ah prayer back. Well, we don't have it right now. We don't have our Maghrib and Isha or Fajr Salah at the masjid. So the first thing is we got an opportunity to enhance our ibadats. A lot of people are even asking, can we have Jum'ah, virtual Jum'ah? Let's remember when we actually used to miss the Jum'ah and only go at the last 5 minutes. How can I enhance my spirituality, my ibadah? Now when you pray at home, understands the important in the blessings of having the Jama'ah. Number two, many of us wait for Ramadan to read the Quran al-Kareem because that's when we kind of take easy at our work. Utilize this time to read the Quran. Read the Quran, whether you are memorizing it or for understanding, but read the Quran al-Kareem. These whole months will be the same. Ramadan this year is not going to be like every year. Ramadan this year, you'll be at home. You're not going to be at the masjid. There's not going to be Taraweeh. So that possibility of going to the masjid and reading the Quran there might not happen. Only Allah knows. So get yourself into the habit of reading the Quran every single day. And the beauty of it now, you don't have to do it alone. You can do it with your family. You can do it with your kids. You can bring them together and say, let's read the Quran together. Let's memorize this short surah or that surah. Let's see what the meaning of this ayah or that ayah. Let's read a story of one of the Sahabas, one of the prophets. Let's read story of a history. Let's know where our heroes really are. Let's read the heroes of like Umar ibn al-Khattab, the heroes of like Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, the heroes of like Al-Qa'qa' ibn Amr. Let's read the scholarship of Imam Ahmad or Shafi'i or Abu Hanifa. Let's read the history of great men that produced and allowed our history to be dynasties. Maybe our kids, instead of getting to know role models that don't exist, that should not be role models, maybe they can find something beautiful in our history. Number three, that I would advise myself and everyone is, now you have a chance to have a family time. People are complaining that they're having too much family time, so they're getting on each other's nerves. I don't think that's the case, because what's happening, I found in homes, is that they are at homes, but they're still on their technology. They're still linked to the outside world. Try to find a time where you disconnect. Just as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala disconnected us from the outside world physically, let's try to find an hour for ourselves and families to disconnect virtually. Let's put this technology down and let's focus on ourselves as a family. Let's get to understand our kids. I tell you, and I kid you not, 99% of our parents don't know their youth, don't know their kids. They're teenagers, they don't know them. They think that they do, but they don't. They love them, yes, but they really don't know them. Now you got an opportunity to know what your daughter or son, your teenage child is all about, what's going on in their heads, what's going on in their lives, what's happening to them emotionally. Many of them today are suffering from stress. In fact, over the few days I've been following, a lot of them are hating their lives because they're missing their friends, because they feel like there's nothing there in their life that matters anymore. They're missing the point in where the cause. They're assuming that their life is all about their friends and whatever they're doing at school or outside of school or whatever they're encountering on their social media. They're forgetting that you as a parent is part of their life. Otherwise, they would not be as stressed as they are. You need to fill that gap. You need to fill that emptiness, that shallowness that they're going through. And you will see yourself benefiting, because then you won't feel that your time is wasted. Your time is actually building the internal structure of who you are in your home. Make sure you find ways not to get at a level where you and your wife all of a sudden are getting annoyed from each other. Find a way where you can enhance your marriage. Marriage should not be about staying away and only finding the minimal time to spend with your spouse. Marriage is about finding every minute possible to be with your spouse and only take away the minutes or hours that you have to because you need to go to work. It's not the other way around. So we have an opportunity right now to get to know our spouses, to get to know our kids, to reconnect with our relatives, even if it's just a phone call. I see this in my own personal life today, that as much as I hate this isolation, I found it a blessing in disguise. I've been able to fix problems internally with my kids and my family that I didn't even know they existed. I didn't even know that they were going through or they were thinking about these, because I always thought that everything was okay. Everything is okay, but it's not. So it's an opportunity. And we have an opportunity to also focus in the next few weeks to prep ourselves for Ramadan. Ramadan, like I said, is going to be different this year. So just because we don't go to the masjid doesn't mean that we should treat Ramadan differently. We still have to fast, and we still have to have iftar. And I'm hoping that every one of us will find a way to get virtual education, online classes, and make it a habit of every day, because this Ramadan is going to be a Ramadan for centuries to be remembered. That people did not go for Taraweeh, but they actually grew spiritually at the same time. I know IMANA will continue to have online classes. So there's many other people that will have online classes. Make it a habit that the family, as it goes to the masjid every day, is going to also make it a habit that every day they sit in front of the screen and hear a lecture, hear a reminder, and pray Taraweeh together. Actually, this is the Sunnah. Many of us don't know this. The Sunnah for Salat al-Taraweeh is not to be prayed in the masjid. Actually, the Sunnah is to pray at home. The Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam prayed the first day in the masjid. Then he prayed the second day in the masjid. Then he prayed the third day in the masjid. Then he didn't go out. So the Sahaba were waiting for him in the masjid so they can pray Taraweeh. He didn't come out. They sent for him, and then the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did not come out. He said, if I had came out, it would have been obligated on you. And for the rest of the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's life, he prayed Taraweeh at home with his wives, with his family. And Taraweeh never became a masjid activity until the time of Umar ibn al-Khattab, when he noticed people were not doing it at home anymore. They were stagnant. They forgot about it. They were taking it too easy. So he called people back into the masjid and he appointed an imam, and the Taraweeh became a jama'ah. But originally, from day one, Taraweeh is to be prayed at home. Don't miss the Taraweeh these days when Ramadan comes. You are to pray Taraweeh with your family. You are to read Quran with your family. You are to fast with your family. It's going to be an amazing Ramadan. So your kids will remember this if you make it well enough. When they grow older, they talk to their kids, they're going to say, on the year 2020 in Ramadan, we spent it with each other. And it was the most wonderful Ramadan. We had activities, we had fun, we had night prayers, we had quizzes, and we had games, we had this, we had that. Make it happen, inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Make it happen that your kids are not all day just sleeping, but there's something that you bring to them that they can enjoy. It's a tough time. I agree with everybody. It is going to be a tough time. It's going to be a challenge. It's something that we have to re-instruct ourselves, reestablish ourselves. But I think it's going to be good. I know it's going to be good, especially for those that can adapt and can change. Iman, inshallah, will be there. I salute all of our members in IMANA and the medical personnel. So they're over there at the front lines. They're over there saving lives and putting their lives in danger. You know, jihad is not about carrying weapons and fighting an enemy only. Jihad in Islam is all about dedicating your life into producing who you are for humanity, or to protect humanity from whatever worse that comes their way. In return, you might put yourself in danger. Today, we have a lot of medical personnel putting themselves in danger. And IMANA and their doctors are right there at the forefront in New York, and Chicago, and California, and different parts of the country, in Detroit, and Dearborn area. These days where I'm from, there's a lot of struggles. So don't forget everyone from your dua. Don't forget the world from your dua. You know, maybe if your dua is accepted, you save a life. It's like saving all lives. This is not something that we're happy about, that people are dying. We have over 1 million people internationally today, worldwide, that have tested positive with coronavirus. And this is just the tip of the point. There's over 50,000 people that have more to come. There's a prediction here in the United States over 200,000 people might die. That is a sad number. It's not a good number. It's a sad number. Let's utilize our du'as at night in our homes, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings down His mercy and blessings on all of us, and bring our lives back to normal, and make this a step that we climb to something better, inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And thank you all for joining us in this call, and hopefully I'll see you again. Hopefully tomorrow will be a better day, and we'll have better things to say. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for the wonderful speech. We really enjoyed that. Just a couple of questions for you. So being home, there was a lot of different tips that you gave. What would be your top 2, 3 tips that you would give for just being home and trying to deal with the mental stress and things like that?
Anytime people are left with free time and nothing to do, then it's mentally challenging. You know, the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in the hadith of Sahih Bukhari Muslim, 2 things people are at loss with, health and free time. So if you have free time and you're not occupying that time with something, that free time is a heavy burden, a heavy weight on you, and it will cause stress and depression. So my first advice is utilize every time that you have at home with something beneficial. It doesn't have to be serious. It can be funny and humorous, but utilize the time. Read a book. Sit with your family. This is what I did. Sit down and say, we're waking up at this time, we're going to sleep at this time. So what am I going to do through this whole schedule, daily schedule? And I found out that I was able to leave some free time for the kids where they can just do whatever they're doing or taking a nap. I found out that we're able to sit and talk. We're able to see a movie. We're able to read a book. We're able to do our ibadah. And I've had my kids now, each one of them is required to give a 5-minute talk every day. So now they have to prepare, like, Dad, they didn't like it, but now they're enjoying it because I told them, you don't have to prepare religious talk. You don't even have to prepare jokes. Make laughs at each other. But you have 5 minutes, take the stage, you got everybody listening. And whatever anything you want to say, just there right now, it's like every one of them can't wait for their 5 minutes to come. So they can create laughter. So there's laughter in the house. So the first thing I would say is fill it with something. Fill it up with something. The second thing is I would advise is just because you're away from people physically doesn't mean you're away from people. Connect with people in a way. I think these days, if we connect with folks, the connection will be more stronger than if we were to go out because you remembered them. So remember family members, longtime friends. I've talked to people that I have actually forgotten that they were in my life at one time. And all of a sudden now we're reconnecting. So reconnect with your family, friends, associates, and longtime partners that you had a long time ago as you're doing with your family. And enhance your ibadah. Pray more, read Quran more, read something. You know, I'm not a big fan of reading more of a intellectual, hardcore books, but I love history. And every time I read a history book or a history event, I get immersed in it, and I can't get myself away. So find your passion. Find whatever makes you good.
Jazakallah khair for that. Thank you, Sheikh. I don't think there's any more questions or anything like that. We truly appreciate this. Inshallah, we'll see you next week, same time, same place. And thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.